Morning, Ava. Your wake-up has been sanctioned by the ISA. We lost contact with the ground crew 450 hours ago.
The Turing Test is a first-person puzzle game developed by Bulkhead Entertainment and was released on August 30th, 2016. What drew me to this game 4.5 years ago was a good-looking puzzle game, but what kept me was its philosophy and dilemma that is up to the gamer to discover and decide. For those of you who don't know or haven't played this game, first off, spoiler alert. We play as Ava, a scientist who is sent to Europa on a mission. There is a microorganism detected on Europa that has properties which can rapidly repair DNA. But the caveat here is that it can also rapidly repair all types of biological cells, like cancer cells for example. So this organism does not discriminate, and basically you're playing your way through this moon base by solving puzzles that were set up by a team to keep you away from it. You find out that you were sent to stop this team from ever bringing this organism back to Earth, along with an AI counterpart named Tom. Essentially, the dilemma of this game is that you have to decide between letting the team bring this organism back to Earth so that humans could possibly study it further and extract its healing properties, or listen to Tom and stop them from bringing back an organism that could cause all manners of cancers, diseases, and economic collapse because of how unstable and uncontrollable it is. We are dealing with some extremely heavy topics in a beautifully crafted game. The puzzles are unique and offer much variation for the player. The only thing I never got is how the team had the time to set up all these elaborate obstacles just to get away from an AI. Also, the idea of an AI not being able to solve concrete puzzles is astoundingly stupid. This was literally the premise behind setting these puzzles up. The fact that Tom, being a machine, was unable to employ a human-level creativity. An AI would be able to analyze the environment and quickly come up with a solution much faster than humans. But with science fiction, everything is chalked up to programming and writing, so I guess I'll let it slide. The puzzle mechanics include concentrated orbs of light with different time-based properties, which by the way is insanely interesting. The idea of light atoms that have predetermined time properties which allow them to stay constant, or alternate as we see with the red, green, and violet orbs. The puzzling also includes boxes for the orbs, standing platforms, magnets, conveyor belts, light streams, robots, cameras, your gun, and a whole lot of angles. I love the puzzling in the Turing Test because it merges a kind of FPS feel into it the way Portal does. However, because we are dealing with game elements that have different uses and functions, I think the puzzling here has a bit more of that shooter feel. Going back a bit to the story and specifically the philosophy behind the implications of both choices at the end of the game. I already described both choices, but what sucks about it is that no matter what you choose, you are met with a successful passing of the Turing Test. The test created to determine if a machine can exhibit intelligent behavior that is equivalent or indistinguishable from that of a human. You are also met with the end of the game. The whole game was a setup from start to finish. Yeah, we just wanted to know whether you could solve puzzles, man. All that exposition, that huge info dump at the end here, nah, we won't address it. It's more cute to play with the title and do a whole circle because people love circles. I'm only kidding. To this day, they could have just added 2 different scenes at the end to show what happens when you pick an option. Like, you go through all this trouble to set your game up as being a journey to either stop or allow the team to go back to Earth with the organism. At least let us see that through. I mean, too little too late, I guess. Let's still talk about it though. The implications of the situation we find ourselves in is one of the most probable I've ever seen in a video game, specifically as it regards to the scientific side of the game. There very well could be an organism that has these properties buried away in the ice of some distant moon. It's almost as if the discovery of this organism could mean a death sentence for all, or something that could end tremendous amounts of suffering if used with the utmost care and scrutiny. However, Tom assumes, using his deduction methods and his knowledge of the world, to surmise that humans would essentially screw it all up and cause major catastrophes. How does one decide while weighing these options so heavily? I ask this because the game doesn't do it at all. It's rather interesting to play a game that asks more questions than able to solve. The story, if you pay attention, is just a 3-hour-long philosophical debate about the nature of saving or dooming humanity by the cause of an extremely unique life form. They leave the decisions in the hands of us, which is why I'm a little annoyed that we didn't get to see it pan out. But I guess the point of the game isn't to get that outcome, but rather to be birthed into affirmation, to finally be qualified to be a human, through the passing of the Turing Test. Within these grave themes, we are also exposed to technology's effect on humans. There is no mere coincidence in these rather overt themes we see in the game regarding Ava's free will. Is Tom controlling us? Is technology controlling us and making us slaves? Are we too reliant on the information processed on a machine, rather than our natural penchant for solving problems creatively? Does it even matter if the machine passes the Turing test, thus solidifying their designation as human, forcing us to treat this machine as one of us? These are equally as heavy, and as eerily relevant to the real world, where our use of technology only rises and remains pervasive in our current existence. There is one idea left I want to say before I end this video. We are so preoccupied with giving life to artificial things rather than exploring our own consciousness. Instead of taking the time to journey through the infinite manifold that is our brain, we want to haphazardly recreate it without knowing what consciousness even means. I guess the takeaway from this is to consume more psychedelic drugs before venturing into AI. Honestly, I love the Turing test. That's why I roasted it a little bit, but that's okay. They have far much more money than I, so that means there's like a green shell around them, in which my words won't penetrate. I respect the creativity in the puzzles and have some problems with the story, but overall it was charming, and I'd really recommend it to anyone who hasn't played it yet. Thanks for watching.